Hola Spain lovers, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be looking at some of the challenges of moving to a small town here in Spain in 2025. That's the topic of the video today, so let's get started. And to make this video today, I have come to a small town here on the outskirts of Madrid to check out what living in a place like this would be like. Now, I think one of the reasons people are drawn to smaller towns here in Spain is the promise of a slower pace of life. Cities here in Spain can be overwhelming with the constant noise, traffic, and the stress of modern living. In contrast, the Spanish countryside offers people the chance to unwind, breathe some fresh air, and reconnect with nature. And for me, that sounds pretty good. Plus, the cost of living in a smaller town here in Spain is going to be a lot cheaper than in a big city. But it's not all sunshine and siestas, and there's a lot of things we need to take into consideration if moving to a smaller town in this country. Let's talk about some of those now. For example, the language barrier in a small town here in Spain is going to be greater. You won't find as many people that speak your native language in a small town here as you would in a city, let's say. So that means that you are going to have to, without fail, learn the local language if you want to integrate into small town life here in Spain. Now, a lot of people in the comment section say, Stuart, why do you talk so much about learning Spanish if you're thinking about coming to Spain? Isn't it obvious? Well, the answer is no. Lots of people plan to move to this country without taking the Spanish language into consideration. I've seen it happen many times before. Sure, if you're planning on moving to a smaller town here in Spain that does have a large foreign population, then learning Spanish might not be high up on your list of priorities. But if you move to another part of the country where that is not the case, then yes, you will need to make an extra effort to learn the Spanish language. Another challenge of moving to the countryside here in Spain is the isolation aspect. Cities have plenty of amenities, plenty of things to see and do, but in a small town here, that's not the case. You might have to travel further to get to a decent hospital, you might have to travel further to get to a decent supermarket, and your internet connection in a small town like this won't be as fast as in a city. So that's something that you need to keep in mind as well. So you'll need to be flexible to make the most of rural living in Spain. Now, a definite advantage of moving to a smaller town here in Spain, and I touched on it earlier, is the cost of living. The cost of living in a small town is going to be way different to a big city when it comes to virtually everything. For example, finding a place to live, paying rent, even buying property in a smaller town is going to be a lot cheaper. Quality of food could also be better. You might have access to locally grown produce, something that you won't find in a big city. And a lot of small towns here still have traditional markets where locals buy their fresh fruit and veg. However, a con could be that public transport options in a small town like this one aren't the best, and you might be reliant on a car. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's worth looking into the public transport options before moving to the town. Because in some small towns here in Spain, public transport options, surprisingly, almost don't exist. Now, another potential con of moving to a small town here in Spain is the quality of the housing. A lot of the buildings in this particular town here look quite old, so that means that you might have to spend a fair bit on maintenance or getting the house into the condition that you want it to be in. The average age of people living in small towns here in Spain can also be quite elevated, and people have been living in the same home for a long time, and they might not have done any renovation works their entire life. So the style of housing and the quality of housing in a small town here in Spain is something that you need to take into consideration, in my opinion. Now, one thing we need to talk about as far as small towns here in Spain are concerned is the community aspect. These towns normally have very tight-knit communities. People have known each other for a long time. People have gone to school together. People have grown up together. And that is something that you need to take into consideration, because it might not be easy to break into the communities here. Normally, you'll find that Spanish people are quite friendly, and if you're willing to make an effort, they'll be willing to make an effort too. However, because these are tight-knit communities, it means that everybody will know who you are, everybody will want to know what you are doing, so you won't get much anonymity. And for a lot of people nowadays, anonymity is important. People don't like other people sticking their nose into their business, but here in a small town, I reckon that's pretty hard to avoid. What about you? Now, another important aspect of moving to a small town here in Spain has to do with job opportunities, and that's what I'll speak about now. And let's be honest, job opportunities in many small towns here in Spain are scarce, and young people especially find it very, very difficult to find a job locally. So if you're planning on coming to Spain, living in a small town like this one and working as well, then you might need to find a small town close to a big city, because local jobs here, unless you want to work in the fields or in the local bar, are virtually non-existent. So who is this lifestyle for, the lifestyle in small towns here in Spain? Well, basically, it's for people looking for peace and quiet, and people that are fed up with the hustle and bustle of city living. The lifestyle in a small town here in Spain would be perfect for retirees, remote workers, or for people that are just looking for a simpler life. And believe me, in a town like this, you will find a simple life. But as you can imagine, a small town like this is far from ideal for people that need constant social and cultural stimulation, because you're not going to find much here. So here are some of my tips for people that might be considering a move to a small town here in Spain. Number one is do your research and spend some time in the area or the local town that you're considering moving to. Number two, learn the local language, because that will help you integrate better. Tip number three, rent before you buy in a small town here in Spain. Make sure that the town is right for you. Make sure that the locals are friendly. Make sure that the town has everything that you need before you invest your money. That way, if you don't like the town, you can always move somewhere else when your rental contract expires. And my final tip for anybody that might be considering a move to a small town here in Spain is be prepared to adapt to local customs and also be open to change. On that note, I'll start to wrap this video up. I hope that you have found some of the points that I've talked about today useful. If you have, let me know in the comment section below. And also, if you have anything to add to the conversation today, the comment section is the place for you. I'd love to hear your comments. If you're planning on moving to a small town here in Spain, let me know which small town has taken your fancy. And if you have already decided that you're going to move to a small town here in Spain, let me know which town you have decided on and which part of the country it's in. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego from the Spanish countryside.